My best friend said she'd always tell me the truth. Then my teenage daughter showed me the texts where my friend told her I never really wanted kids. Cassie and I had been friends since college. 20 years of late-night calls, shared secrets, and being each other's emergency contact. When I got pregnant with Mia at 19, Cassie was the first person I told. She held my hand at every ultrasound. She was there in the delivery room. She taught me how to change diapers when I was too scared to do it wrong. "You're going to be an amazing mom," she'd said, wiping my tears in that hospital bathroom. "This baby is so lucky to have you." I believed her. I trusted her completely. Last Tuesday, Mia came home from school and went straight to her room. No hello, no asking what's for dinner, just silence. She's 15 now, so moody silences weren't unusual. But this felt different. Around 9 p.m., and she appeared in my doorway, phone clutched in her hand. Her eyes were red and swollen. "Why didn't you want me?" she asked. My stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" "Of course I wanted you." She held out her phone. "Aunt Cassie says different." I took the phone, confused. The messages were from Cassie's number. Mia had apparently texted her, asking for advice about college applications. Somehow the conversation had shifted to me, to my past, to things Cassie had no business discussing with my daughter. The first text made my hands shake. "Your mom wasn't ready to be a mother. She cried for weeks when she found out she was pregnant with you." I scrolled down. It got worse. "She wanted to give you up for adoption. I had to talk her out of it. She was so young and scared she didn't think she could do it." Further down, "She loves you now, but honestly, those first few years were really hard for her. She resented losing her freedom. She told me once she felt trapped." And finally, "Sometimes I wonder if she would have chosen differently if she'd known how hard motherhood would be. But you can't unmake that choice once it's made." I looked up at Mia. Tears were streaming down her face. "Is it true?" she whispered. "Did you really not want me?" "Mia, just tell me the truth. For once, just be honest with me." The thing is, some of it was true. I had been scared. I had cried. I had considered adoption for about 48 hours before deciding I couldn't go through with it. But I'd never said I felt trapped. I'd never told Cassie I resented Mia. Those were lies mixed with enough truth to make them believable. "Why would she tell you this?" I asked, my voice barely working. Mia's face crumpled. "I don't know. I just asked her if you'd be disappointed if I didn't go to college right away. I wanted to take a gap year, and I thought she could help me figure out how to talk to you about it. Then she just started telling me all this stuff about how you never really wanted to be a mom in the first place." I tried calling Cassie immediately, straight to voicemail. I texted her. Nothing. The next morning, I drove to her house before work. Her car was in the driveway, but she wouldn't answer the door. I could see her shadow through the front window curtains. She was home. She was avoiding me. For 2 days, Mia barely spoke to me. She'd look at me like I was a stranger, like everything about our relationship had been a lie. On the third day, I got a text from Cassie's husband, Ben. "We need to talk. Can you meet me for coffee?" I met him at the cafe near their house. He looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept in days. "I found out what Cassie did," he said before I could even sit down. "I'm so sorry. I had no idea how bad it had gotten." "How bad what had gotten?" He pulled out his own phone and slid it across the table. It was open to Cassie's therapy portal. Appointment after appointment. Then hospitalization records from a psychiatric facility, all from the past 8 months. "She's been having a breakdown," he said quietly. "It started after her sister announced she was pregnant. Something just snapped in Cassie. She became obsessed with you and Mia. She kept saying you didn't deserve what you had, that you'd stolen the life she was supposed to have." I couldn't breathe. "What are you talking about?" "Cassie's been trying to get pregnant for 6 years. We've done 4 rounds of IVF, all failures. When her sister got pregnant on accident, it destroyed her. And then she started fixating on you, on how you got pregnant so young and easy, how you got Mia when you didn't even plan for it." He showed me more texts. Messages Cassie had sent to other people, talking about how unfair it was, how I'd wasted my blessing, how Mia should have been hers. "She's been admitted for evaluation," Ben continued. "But before she went, she told me what she'd done. She wanted to poison Mia against you. She wanted your daughter to hate you the way she hates herself." My whole body went cold. "There's more," Ben said. "Cassie's been messaging Mia for months. This wasn't just one conversation." He opened a folder on his phone. Screenshots of dozens of messages between Cassie and Mia, messages going back to last summer. My hands trembled as I scrolled through them. June. "Your mom and I used to be so close before you were born. Sometimes I miss when it was just us." July. "She changed so much after she had you. It's like the old her disappeared." August. "You know, she almost went to art school in Paris, but then she got pregnant and had to give up her dreams." September. "I wonder sometimes what her life would have looked like if she'd made different choices." October. "She loves you, but I think part of her will always wonder what if." Each message was carefully crafted. None of them outright said I didn't want Mia, but together they painted a picture of a mother who'd sacrificed everything unwillingly, a mother filled with regret. "Why would she do this?" I whispered. Ben's jaw tightened. "Because she couldn't have what you have, so she wanted to destroy it." I drove home in a fog. When I got there, Mia was sitting at the kitchen table, staring at her phone. She looked up when I walked in. "I've been reading through all the messages Aunt Cassie sent me," she said quietly, going back through the whole conversation history. "Mia, you don't have to." "Yes, I do, because I need to understand what she was doing. I need to see it clearly." She turned her phone toward me. "Look at this one from July. She said you changed after you had me, that the old you disappeared." I remember feeling so guilty when I read that, like I'd killed the person you were supposed to be. My heart broke. "Baby, that's not..." And this one from August. "About art school in Paris. I'd never even heard about that before. So when she mentioned it, I thought it must be this huge secret you'd been keeping from me, this big dream I'd ruined. You didn't ruin anything. I know that now. But at the time, every message felt like proof that I was this burden you'd been carrying around for 15 years. Proof that you secretly wished I'd never been born. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. The worst part is I believed her. I actually believed her over you, over everything I knew about you, about us. I believed her because she was your best friend. And why would your best friend lie about something like that? I sat down next to her and took her hands in mine. She lied because she's in pain, because she's been trying to have a baby for years and it hasn't happened, and seeing us together hurt her. So she tried to hurt us back. That's so messed up. It is. It's very messed up. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Mia said, I want to read your journals. The ones you mentioned before. I want to see for myself what you really felt when you were pregnant with me. I went to my bedroom and pulled out the box I'd kept hidden in my closet for years. Inside were notebooks filled with my messy handwriting, thoughts and fears and hopes from when I was 19 years old and terrified of becoming a mother. Mia read them all, every single word. It took her hours. She cried through most of it. So did I. When she finished, she looked up at me with tear-stained cheeks. You were so scared. I was terrified. But you wanted me. Even when you were scared, you wanted me. More than anything. She closed the last notebook and set it gently on the table. Aunt Cassie took a few sentences out of context and twisted them into something they weren't. She made it sound like you spent my whole childhood regretting having me. I never regretted you. Not for 1 second. I know that now. I should have known it all along. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about all the messages Cassie had sent, all the careful manipulation, the way she'd taken bits of truth and wrapped them in lies until they became something unrecognizable. I got up around 2 a.m. and went through the screenshots Ben had given me again. This time, I noticed something I'd missed before. The timestamps. Cassie had been messaging Mia almost every week, sometimes multiple times a week, always late at night, always when she knew I wouldn't be looking over Mia's shoulder. And the messages weren't just about me, they were about Mia too. You're so mature for your age, more mature than your mom was at 15. I think you understand things she doesn't understand, things about sacrifice and choices. If you ever need to talk about anything at all, you can always come to me. I won't judge you the way she might. She'd been grooming Mia, not in a predatory way, but in a way that was almost worse. She'd been positioning herself as the understanding adult, the one who really got it. The one Mia could trust when her own mother failed her. I felt sick. The next morning, I called Ben. I need to know everything that happened, everything she told you. He met me at the same cafe. This time, he brought a folder. Inside were printouts of texts, emails, journal entries Cassie had written. He documented everything. I'm giving this to you because you deserve to know the truth, he said. And because part of me thinks Cassie would want you to know. The real Cassie, I mean. Not the person she became. I read through it all. It was worse than I'd thought. Cassie's obsession with me had started almost 2 years ago, right after her second IVF cycle failed. She'd written in her journal about seeing Mia and me at a coffee shop together, about how happy we looked, about how easy our relationship seemed. She doesn't know how lucky she is, Cassie had written. She got pregnant by accident and ended up with this perfect daughter. Meanwhile, I'm doing everything right and getting nothing. It's not fair. It's not fucking fair. The entries got darker from there. Cassie started documenting every time she saw me with Mia. Every smile, every laugh, every moment of connection between us. She'd write about how it made her feel. The jealousy, the rage, the desperate, aching want. I could be such a good mother, one entry read. I would appreciate it. I would never take it for granted the way she does. She doesn't even realize what she has. Then came the entries about the plan, about deciding to message Mia, about crafting each text carefully to plant seeds of doubt without being too obvious. I just want her to see the truth, Cassie wrote, that her mother isn't this perfect saint she thinks she is, that she's just a person who got lucky. That's all. Just lucky. But the entries from the past few months showed something different. They showed Cassie spiraling, losing track of why she'd started this in the first place. The messages to Mia had become less about exposing some imagined truth and more about causing pain. Pure, simple pain. I want her to feel what I feel, one entry said. I want her to know what it's like to lose something precious, to watch it slip away and not be able to stop it. I looked up at Ben. She wanted to destroy us. Yes, not just make us doubt each other. Destroy us completely. Yes. Why didn't you stop her? He looked down at his hands. I didn't know. I knew she was struggling with the infertility. I knew she was in therapy, but I didn't know about the messages until 2 weeks ago. I found her journal when I was looking for our insurance papers. That's when I saw everything. That's when I confronted her. What did she say? She broke down, completely broke down, started sobbing and saying she didn't know why she'd done it, that it had started as just wanting to talk to Mia, to have some connection to a daughter, any daughter, but then it spiraled. She couldn't stop. Every message made her feel better for a little while, but then the pain would come back worse, so she'd send another one. That's not an excuse. No, it's not. That's why I had her admitted. That's why I'm leaving her. What she did to Mia was unforgivable. I looked at the folder of evidence. Can I keep this? It's yours. I thought you might need it. In case Mia ever doubts what really happened. In case she ever starts to believe Cassie's version of events again. I drove home with the folder on my passenger seat. When I got there, Mia was doing homework at the kitchen table. I need to show you something, I said. I spread out the contents of the folder, Cassie's journal entries, the timeline of messages, The evidence of how carefully she'd planned everything. Mia read through it all. Her face went from shock to anger to something that looked like grief. She was lying about everything, Mia said finally. Every single message was a lie. Not a lie exactly, more like a manipulation. She took real things and twisted them until they meant something different. She made me doubt you. She made me look at you differently. She made me question everything about our relation. I know. How could she do that? How could someone who claimed to love us do that? I didn't have an answer. I still don't. Over the next few weeks, I tried to process everything. Mia started therapy. I started therapy. We started therapy together. The therapist helped us understand that what Cassie had done was emotional abuse, that she'd manipulated Mia the same way an abuser manipulates their victim, slowly, carefully, over time. She was isolating you from your mother, the therapist explained to Mia, making you doubt your own perceptions, making you believe that she was the only one who really understood you, the only one you could trust. That's classic manipulation. But why? Mia asked. Why would she want to do that? Because people in pain sometimes try to spread that pain to others. Not because it makes them feel better, but because misery loves company. And your mother had something Cassie desperately wanted, so Cassie tried to ruin it. I watched my daughter absorb this information, watched her try to reconcile the Aunt Cassie she'd known her whole life with this person who deliberately tried to hurt her. I don't think I can forgive her, Mia said finally. You don't have to, the therapist replied. Forgiveness isn't required. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to feel betrayed. Those are valid emotions. But here's the thing about anger. It's exhausting. It eats away at you if you hold on to it too long. And I didn't want Cassie to take any more from us than she already had. So I made a decision. I wasn't going to let her destroy us. I wasn't going to let those messages define our relationship. I was going to fight for my daughter. Fight for us. I started by talking to Mia every single day. Really talking. Not just about surface stuff, but about everything. About my fears when I was pregnant. About the struggles of being a young mom. About the moments I doubted myself and the moments I'd been absolutely certain I was doing the right thing. I need you to know something, I told her one evening. Being your mom is the best thing I've ever done. Not because it was easy, but because you are worth every difficult moment. You always have been, even when I was a nightmare teenager. Especially then, because even when you're being difficult, you're still mine. And I wouldn't trade you for anything. We started doing things together again. Small things at first. Going for walks, making dinner, watching movies, then bigger things. Weekend trips, long conversations about her future, plans for college and careers and all the possibilities ahead of her. Slowly, the damage Cassie had caused started to heal. The doubts Mia had been carrying started to fade. Our relationship became stronger than it had been before, because we'd fought for it, because we'd chosen each other. But I couldn't stop thinking about Cassie, about what Ben had said, about her complete breakdown after I confronted her through him, about her admission to the psychiatric facility, about the years of infertility that had broken her. Part of me was furious. Part of me wanted her to suffer the way she'd made us suffer. But another part of me, the part that had loved her for 20 years, felt sad. Sad for what she'd lost. Sad for what she'd become. Sad for the friendship that was now destroyed beyond repair. 2 months after everything came out, I got a letter from Cassie. It was delivered to my house in a plain envelope with no return address. Inside were 6 pages of handwritten apology. She didn't make excuses. She didn't try to justify what she'd done. She just explained, I want you to understand what happened, even though understanding doesn't mean forgiving, she wrote. I've been trying to have a baby for 6 years. 6 years of shots and hormones and procedures. 6 years of hope and disappointment. Every single month I'd think this time it'll work. And every single month it didn't. She described the emotional toll. The way each failure felt like her body was betraying her. The way she'd started to feel like less of a woman because she couldn't do this one thing that was supposed to be natural and easy. I'd see pregnant women everywhere, she wrote. In grocery stores, at the gym, walking down the street. And I'd feel this rage inside me. This burning, horrible rage. Because they had what I wanted. They had what I'd been working so hard to achieve. Then she described the day her sister announced her pregnancy. Her younger sister, who'd always been flighty and irresponsible. Who'd gotten pregnant by accident with a guy she barely knew. Something broke in me that day, Cassie wrote. I smiled and congratulated her, but inside I was screaming. It wasn't fair. She didn't even want a baby. She was terrified. And I wanted one so badly and couldn't have one. That's when the obsession with me started. According to the letter, Cassie had started comparing our stories. Both of us had gotten pregnant young and unexpectedly. But I'd kept my baby. I'd made it work. And now I had this beautiful relationship with my daughter while Cassie had nothing. I convinced myself that you didn't appreciate what you had, she wrote. That you'd taken for granted what I would have cherished. I told myself that if I'd been the one to get pregnant at 19, I would have been grateful. I would have been a better mother. The letter went on to describe how the messages to Mia had started. At first, Cassie said she'd just wanted to feel connected to a daughter. Any daughter. She'd started messaging Mia with innocent questions about school and friends. But then it had escalated. Every time Mia responded, I felt this high, Cassie wrote. Like I was getting a taste of what it would be like to have a daughter who trusted me, who confided in me. But it wasn't enough. It was never enough. So I started testing boundaries. Seeing how much I could say before you noticed. How much influence I could have. She described the turning point. The moment when she'd stopped just trying to connect with Mia and started actively trying to damage our relationship. It was after my 4th IVF cycle failed, she wrote. I was so angry. At my body, at the universe, at everyone who had what I wanted. And you were the easiest target, because I knew you. I knew your fears and insecurities. I knew exactly what to say to make you doubt yourself. The letter ended with an apology. I know I can't undo what I did. I know I destroyed our friendship and hurt Mia in ways that might never fully heal. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry. I'm getting help. I'm working on understanding why I did this and making sure I never do anything like it again. She signed it simply, Cassie. I read the letter sitting at my kitchen table. Then I read it again. Part of me wanted to rip it up, to never think about her again, but another part of me needed to understand, needed to know why someone I'd loved and trusted could do something so cruel. I showed the letter to my therapist at our next session. Do you think she's telling the truth? I asked. Does it matter? The therapist replied. Whether she's being honest about her motivations or not, what she did was wrong. Understanding why she did it doesn't change that. But it helps, doesn't it? Understanding? It can, but only if you don't let understanding turn into excusing. You can understand someone's pain and still hold them accountable for how they express that pain. I thought about that for a long time. About the difference between understanding and forgiving. About whether I could do one without the other. That night, I talked to Mia about the letter. I read her the whole thing, start to finish. When I was done, she sat quietly for a moment. Do you believe her? She asked. I think she believes what she wrote. Whether it's the whole truth or not, I don't know. Does it change anything? Knowing why she did it? Does it change anything for you? Mia thought about it. A little bit, maybe. It makes her seem more human, more broken. But it doesn't make what she did okay. No, it doesn't. Are you going to respond to the letter? I hadn't decided yet. Part of me wanted to. Part of me wanted to tell Cassie exactly how much damage she'd caused. How many nights Mia had cried herself to sleep. How many therapy sessions we'd needed. How close she'd come to destroying something precious. But another part of me wanted to let it go. To move forward without looking back. To focus on healing rather than revenge. In the end, I did neither. I filed the letter away with all the other evidence of what Cassie had done. I didn't respond, but I didn't throw it away either. I kept it as a reminder of what jealousy and pain can make people do. A reminder to never take my daughter for granted. A reminder that the people closest to you can hurt you the deepest. 6 months passed. Mia and I continued therapy. We continued rebuilding our relationship. We continued choosing each other every single day. Then one afternoon, I ran into Ben at the grocery store. We both froze in the frozen food aisle, staring at each other awkwardly. How are you? He asked finally. We're okay. Getting better. How are you? Divorced now. It was finalized last month. I'm sorry. He shrugged. I'm not. What Cassie did was unforgivable. I couldn't stay married to someone capable of that. How is she? Still in treatment. She's living with her parents now, working with a therapist who specializes in infertility trauma. We stood in uncomfortable silence for a moment. Then Ben said, she asks about you sometimes. About Mia. Not because she wants contact, just because she wants to know you're okay. We are okay. Good. That's good. He started to walk away, then turned back. For what it's worth, I think she really is sorry. I think she broke something inside herself when she hurt you two. I think she knows she can never fix it. I nodded, because I believed that. I believed Cassie was sorry. But sorry doesn't undo damage. Sorry doesn't erase the months of manipulation. Sorry doesn't give back what was stolen. That night, I told Mia about running into Ben, about how Cassie was doing, about the question I couldn't stop asking myself. Do you think people can change? I asked her. Do you think someone who does something that terrible can become a better person? Mia thought about it for a long time. Then she said, I think people can change. But that doesn't mean the people they hurt have to stick around to see it happen. She was right. Whether Cassie changed or not, whether she became a better person or not, wasn't our concern anymore. Our concern was us, our relationship, our healing. A year after everything happened, Mia graduated from high school. She'd decided to defer college for a year to volunteer abroad. She wanted to work with an organization that built schools in developing countries. Are you sure about this? I asked when she told me her plans. You can change your mind. You can go straight to college if you want. I'm sure. I need to do something that matters. Something that reminds me that the world is bigger than my own problems. I understood that. I understood the need to step outside your own pain and see the bigger picture. The day before Mia left for Guatemala, we had a going-away dinner. Just the two of us. We went to her favorite restaurant and talked about everything. Her excitement, her nervousness, her dreams for the future. I'm proud of you, I told her. So incredibly proud. I know. You tell me all the time. I need to tell you more often. I need you to never doubt it. She reached across the table and took my hand. Mom, I don't doubt it anymore. What Aunt Cassie did, what she tried to make me believe, that's over. I know you love me. I know you've always loved me. I know I was wanted. Tears filled my eyes. You were. You are. You always will be. I know. And she did know. I could see it in her eyes. The certainty, the confidence, the absolute knowledge that she was loved and wanted and valued. Cassie had tried to take that from us. She'd tried to plant seeds of doubt that would grow into forests of resentment. But she'd failed. Because our love was stronger than her lies. Our bond was deeper than her manipulation. Mia spent a year in Guatemala. She sent me photos and videos every week. Pictures of the school she was helping build. Pictures of the kids she was teaching. Pictures of the life she was creating for herself. During that year, I focused on myself, on my own healing, on figuring out who I was outside of being Mia's mom. I started painting again, something I hadn't done since before Mia was born. I joined a local art group, made new friends, built a life that was full and rich and mine. I also thought a lot about Cassie, about forgiveness, about whether I could let go of the anger I was carrying, not for her sake, but for mine. One night I sat down and wrote a letter, not to send to Cassie, but for myself, a way of processing everything that had happened. "I'm angry at you," I wrote. "I'm angry that you tried to destroy the most important relationship in my life. I'm angry that you hurt my daughter. I'm angry that you betrayed 20 years of friendship." I kept writing, page after page, all the things I'd wanted to say, all the pain and rage and confusion. "But I also understand you," I wrote. "I understand what it's like to want something so badly it consumes you. I understand the desperation of feeling like everyone else has what you can never have. I understand." I wrote about my own struggles as a young mother, about the times I'd felt overwhelmed and alone, about the moments I doubted myself, about the fear that I wasn't good enough, that I'd never be good enough. "The difference between us," I wrote, "is that when I was in pain, I didn't try to hurt others. I didn't try to destroy what other people had. I fought through it. I chose love over bitterness." I ended the letter with a decision. "I forgive you, Cassie, not because you deserve it, not because what you did was okay, but because holding on to this anger is only hurting me, and I'm done letting you hurt me. I'm done giving you power over my life." I never sent that letter. I burned it instead, watched the pages turn to ash in my fireplace, and with them, I let go of the anger I'd been carrying. Forgiving Cassie didn't mean forgetting what she'd done. It didn't mean trusting her again or letting her back into my life. It just meant releasing the hold she had on my emotions. It meant choosing peace over rage. When Mia came home from Guatemala, she was different, more confident, more sure of herself, more aware of her own strength. "I want to study international development," she told me. "I want to continue the work I started down there. I want to make a real difference." I helped her apply to colleges, helped her write her essays, helped her prepare for interviews. And when she got accepted to her first choice school with a full scholarship, I cried tears of joy. The day I dropped her off at college, I thought about everything we'd been through. The betrayal, the manipulation, the moments when I'd thought we might not survive what Cassie had done to us. But we had survived. We'd come out stronger. Our relationship was deeper and more resilient than it had ever been. As I watched Mia walk into her dorm building, ready to start this new chapter of her life, I felt grateful. Grateful for the strength we'd found. Grateful for the love that had carried us through. Grateful that despite everything, we'd chosen each other. 2 years later, I got a message from Ben. It was short and to the point. "Cassie had a baby. IVF finally worked. She wanted you to know." Attached was a photo. Cassie holding a tiny infant. She looked tired, but happy. There was something different in her eyes. Something softer. I looked at the photo for a long time, feeling complicated emotions I couldn't quite name. I was happy for her, genuinely happy that she'd finally gotten what she wanted, but I was also wary, wondering if having a baby would heal whatever had broken inside her, or if the damage went deeper than that. I didn't respond to Ben's message. I just saved the photo and moved on with my day, because my relationship with Cassie was in the past. What mattered was the present. And in the present, I had a daughter who was thriving, a daughter who knew without any doubt that she was loved and wanted and cherished. A daughter who called me every week from college to tell me about her classes and her friends and her plans to change the world. A daughter who, despite everything, still believed in love and trust and the goodness of people. That was Cassie's failure. She'd tried to destroy us, but instead she'd shown us how strong we really were. She'd tried to plant seeds of doubt, but instead, she'd helped us cultivate absolute certainty. Mia came home for winter break in her junior year. We spent the holidays together, just the two of us, making cookies, watching movies, talking about everything and nothing. On Christmas Eve, she brought up Cassie for the first time in years. "Do you ever think about her?" she asked. "Sometimes. Not as much as I used to. Do you think she's a good mom?" "I hope so. For her daughter's sake. I hope she learned from what she did to us." Mia was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I've been thinking about forgiveness lately. In my psychology class, we've been studying trauma and healing, and my professor said something that stuck with me." "What's that?" She said forgiveness isn't about the person who hurt you. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of carrying that hurt around. It's about choosing to move forward rather than staying stuck in the past. I smiled. Sounds like a smart professor. She is. And it made me realize something. I think I've forgiven Aunt Cassie. Not because she asked for it or earned it, but because holding on to that anger was exhausting, and I'm tired of giving her any more of my energy. I pulled my daughter into a hug. "I'm proud of you for choosing healing over bitterness, for choosing to move forward. You taught me that, Mom. You showed me how to forgive without forgetting, how to protect yourself while still choosing peace." We stood there in the kitchen, holding each other. Two people who'd survived betrayal and come out stronger. Two people who'd chosen love over anger, healing over revenge. That's the real story. Not the one about the best friend who betrayed me, not the one about the months of manipulation and lies. The real story is about survival, about resilience, about the unbreakable bond between a mother and daughter. Cassie tried to destroy that bond. She tried to poison it from the inside out. She tried to make my daughter doubt the one thing she should have always been certain of, my love. But she failed. Because love, real love, can't be destroyed by words. It can't be undermined by lies or manipulation or jealousy. It can only grow stronger. 5 years have passed since that terrible Tuesday night when Mia showed me those texts. 5 years since my world tilted on its axis and I thought I might lose everything. Mia graduated from college last spring. She's working for an international nonprofit now, traveling to different countries to help build sustainable communities. She's exactly where she's supposed to be, doing exactly what she was meant to do. And I'm here, living a life that's full and rich and mine. I've started my own art studio. I teach painting classes to teenagers and adults. I've built a community of friends and students and people who value creativity and expression. Sometimes, in quiet moments, I think about Cassie. I wonder how she's doing, whether motherhood healed her or whether the wounds go too deep, whether she thinks about what she did to us, whether she regrets it. But mostly, I don't think about her at all, because she's not part of my story anymore. She's not part of our story, the story of Mia and me, the story of love and trust and choosing each other every single day, the story of survival and strength and unbreakable bonds. That's the story that matters. That's the story I want to tell. Last month, Mia called me from Kenya, where she's been working on a clean water project. She was covered in dust, her hair pulled back, her face sunburned and happy. "Mom, I have to tell you something," she said. My heart skipped. "What is it?" I was talking to some of the other volunteers today. They were complaining about their parents, about how their moms didn't support them or understand them, about how hard it was growing up with parents who had expectations they couldn't meet. Okay, and I realized how lucky I am, because even when things got hard, even when someone tried to make me doubt you, I always had you in my corner, always. I started crying before she finished talking. "You chose me, Mom. Every single day, you chose me. And that's the greatest gift anyone's ever given me. I'll always choose you, baby. Always." I know, and that's why Aunt Cassie failed. Because our love is real. It's solid. It's unshakable. And nothing she said could ever change that. We talked for another hour. About her work, about my art, about the lives we're building and the future we're creating. And when we hung up, I sat in my studio surrounded by my paintings and felt grateful. Grateful for the strength we'd found. Grateful for the healing we'd achieved. Grateful for the love that had carried us through the darkest moments. Cassie tried to take that from us. She tried to destroy something beautiful because she was drowning in her own pain, but she couldn't. Because what we have is stronger than jealousy, stronger than manipulation, stronger than lies. What we have is love, pure, unshakable, unconditional love, and that's something no one can ever take away.